Hello and welcome to Chicanime. My name is Lauren and today I am going to be looking at a solo leveling cut content video from Annie News. This is what did the anime change from episode 8. So we are getting the reunion of our double dungeon survivors. Yeah, and this is the one, this is the second raid that goes real hairy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the anime got rid of and what they decided wasn't important enough to put in. Because this whole episode was pretty good, and I was really scared of the purple-haired guy. He really freaked me out, especially because, like, the first time we saw him, it was just, like, he really didn't have any emotions. He was just kind of, like, there. And then the second time, he was terrifying. So, looking forward to seeing what's going on with that. Let's go.
Was
that
rare
like
for
the
an
season
anime to break
2?
away and make changes to the material they're adapting, but what is rare are the occasions when it's done with quality and purpose.
Hey,
Solo leveling has some.
should I watch the Eminence and Shadow? Like, does he have Eminence and Shadow cut content and stuff? Because I've seen all of Eminence and Shadow now. So should I watch more? I could. That could be a lot of fun. Well, let me know if I should watch or if I should find something like that exists, because that could actually be really interesting.
Managed to do both, and it's these changes that reassure me this series is getting the adaptation it deserves. Like, there's very little detail put into the side characters in the manhwa and novel, but episode 8 just had half the runtime dedicated to them. Not only does this flesh out characters—
Oh yeah, they did try to get me to care about Mr. Kim, and they failed. They tried really hard to get me to care about that guy, and I was like, no.
Aren't gonna see until a whole lot later, but it also develops the story beyond Sung Jin-woo and his straightforward journey to become stronger. Yes,
that is cool.
It was technically a means to pad the episode and to pace things slower, but when it enriches the story and provides actual value, I have zero problem with scenes that divert from the original like this. So, just like how you did last time, let me know in the comments what you would rate the episode. A simple number between 1 and 10, and if you want, perhaps the reason why you think that. Last video I was able to put together this, and I think it'd be fun to continue doing it. You know, just a little community rating that's
really sick.
Opinions together. But anyway, episode 8. This is frustrating. Covering chapters 27 to 28 of the manhwa and chapters 29 to 31 of the web novel. As you can tell by the chapter coverage alone, it's pretty clear not much progress was made with the main story. It was instead padded with scenes like these and extended to include increased development of the side characters and world building. Part of this includes guilds and their influence in society, and it's this aspect that I believe is one of the most important to solo leveling. I won't dive—
We did the guilds video last week.
But if you want to learn more, then you should definitely watch this video. It's a detailed breakdown of what they do and how powerful they are. To start things from the very beginning though, Episode 7 left us right at the end of the Cerberus fight.
Like, the only thing I'll say about that episode, or like that video, is the only thing I was a little disappointed about is I thought there was going to be some kind of like guild ranking in it. Like, I thought that they were going to like explain more about the guilds specifically and like talk about the people in them and like where they rank, like how powerful are they? Are they all kind of equal? Like, that's the only thing I was kind of missing from that last episode is specifics about the guilds individually.
It's a hard-fought battle that rewarded him with 4 levels, 3 Cerberus molars, and a necklace. The molars were sold for 150,000 gold apiece, and the necklace provided a stat boost of 20 to both agility and sense.
And he gets to look like a punk.
Wasn't something Sung was sure would work for him though, since he really didn't want to have to fight with some crazy-looking dog collar around his neck. Luckily, the item disappeared once it was
it's just like it vanishes.
So that meant he could keep it on all the time. It was a solid item that left him with stats looking like this.
That's just because he's a coward. If he wasn't such a pussy, he could absolutely wear the dog collar, dude. Like, come on, Sung, live a little.
Well, that wasn't nearly enough to handle the dungeon, so Sung would leave and go search for other methods to level up. Specifically the 19 C-rank raids that Jinho offered. If you remember from last video, this was an offer Sung had accepted the first time Jinho came to him. He had realized he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone and decided to join Jinho under the condition the raids were done alone. This way he would get rich, get stronger, and keep his powers secret, and Jinho in return would be the D-rank hunter who led 19 C-rank.
I need to read this for explicitly for exposition kids' faces. Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Raids without a single casualty. It was a win-win situation in which both parties got exactly what they wanted. So, this was something Jinho had been actively working on, and while he was close to putting a fake raiding team together, it still wasn't done, which meant Sung had to wait a bit. It was time he felt was being wasted, since every moment was one he wanted to spend leveling. This led Sung to constantly check.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the system itself, like if it's pushing him sort of secretly in his head, you know? Because that could be really interesting if it's not necessarily he's like, I have to keep going, but it's the system pushing that on him.
Forums, but that too didn't have a single group looking for an E-rank hunter. It had forced Sung to accept the fact he simply couldn't level up right now. A task he had been so incredibly engrossed by that he didn't even realize he'd been neglecting the chores lately. So, when he went to the fridge and saw that it was empty, this made him realize it was probably a good time to go and do grocery shopping.
Imagine that!
For which he'd reunite with Mr. Song. Unlike how the two met on their way to the gate in the anime, in the novel this was more of a chance meeting guided by fate. I mean, Mr. Song definitely would have visited Sung had he been able to get a hold of him, but because the association kept the Double Dungeon incident private, neither him nor Juhi had any way of contacting him. They couldn't even call his cell phone because the replacement for the one he lost in the Double Dungeon hadn't been given to him.
Okay, still hadn't been given to him. I was like, they're like really isolating him, huh? Oh, that's rough. The fact that they couldn't even talk to each other. Like I feel like after an incident like that, you'd want the people who were involved to be able to chat. Like they would need that support, right? Ooh.
This was the primary method the association contacted its hunters with, and it was only through that or the house phone that Sung would find out about association raids. So, unless he was home to monitor every call 24/7, there was a chance he could miss some raids since that was his only method of hearing about them. In fact, he had actually missed one that happened just a week ago.
Oh,
the
bummer.
Association had called him while he was out with Huang's group, and it was that particular gate that Juhi had gone to. As it turns out, despite saying how she was going to retire, Juhi still showed up to association raids in hopes of one day seeing Sung there.
Okay.
She was willing to overcome her fear just so she could see him again. Now, Mr. Song
wish that
and
they'd
Sung
left
would
that in.
continue to talk, but with prying eyes constantly glancing towards their direction, the two decided to move somewhere a bit more private. Funnily enough, just the act of walking was enough for Mr. Song to sense that something was different about
Not
Sung.
his pointy chin?
His steps were light and presence minimized, so much so that despite Sung standing right next to him, Mr. Song had a hard time detecting that Sung was even there. He felt that if the two were to fight at this very moment, nothing he could do would come even close to touching Sung. It was an absurd feeling since he was a C rank and Sung just an E rank. That thought quickly passed through Mr. Song's mind though, since what he really wanted to do right now was simply thank Sung. He was truly appreciative of Sung having saved him, and every word of gratitude was spoken with the utmost sincerity. Sung never expected for such a spectacle to happen, but when it did, he surprisingly didn't feel bad about it. In fact, he had actually felt a little bit of pride. He was satisfied that his heroic actions were finally being acknowledged by
Sung. Okay, well, I mean, like, they should have
Sung
been.
would tell Mr. Song to raise his head, that's when Mr. Song would receive a call on his hunter cell phone. He would step aside and try to take it privately away from Sung, but every word was more than audible due to Sung's enhanced sense.
Sneak.
So, though Mr. Song was trying to protect Sung from yet another dangerous raid, a D-rank gate wasn't an opportunity Sung was going to skip out on.
Okay.
Besides,
I love
if
it.
Mr. Song was getting a call from the association, then that meant he definitely should have been too.
Right.
He just wasn't home to answer the call again. It was common knowledge the association called all its nearby hunters when a raid was happening, so as soon as Mr. Song realized Sung had heard everything, he had no right to deny Sung from going anymore.
I will say I kind of understand why they would have taken that sort of plot point out, like the fact that he doesn't have the phone, that they couldn't talk to him. Like, I get why they take that out, because that's just a lot to have to fit in. Like, he only has a house, but like that would be a lot of extra stuff to hint at.
He was just as entitled to the raid as everyone else was. Plus, had Sung missed out on the association's call one more time, then he would have lost his hunter license permanently.
Oh,
Reason
shit.
being that to ignore the assation 3 times would result in expulsion.
That's not it
Penalty Sung
ignoring.
had risked facing
That's not
more
his
times than once before.
That's not his fault though. If he didn't have the phone, like surely he could appeal that decision. He's like, I wasn't home and you guys didn't give me the phone yet. Like, that's on you, not on me.
Back when he still received major injuries from raiding, he would always shut his phone off after in fear of going to the next one. Because he couldn't afford to lose his license though, he would always relent and end up accepting the phone call anyway, following through with the raid despite not being physically or mentally prepared. Now, even though this gate was right in the middle of a residential area, not a single civilian was spectating due to the fear of what could potentially appear from it.
Huh.
What I mean is that, more times than not, a gate done by the association was one on the verge of a dungeon break. It was one that's been open for almost a week and, as such, was at the top of the list for needing closing.
That explains why it
Had
needed
been
the
one that only
like
just
so
recently
desperate.
opened, then a crowd definitely would have formed around it to take a look at it. Since this was one where monsters could appear from it any second though, every civilian was far and away just in case that did happen. It made the police's job a whole lot easier since cordoning off the area was a simple matter of creating a border around it. If you're wondering why prisoners were needed to assist with this gate, the simple answer was that too many hunters had died recently.
Oh, good.
With the double dungeon incident leaving 11 dead, there simply weren't enough local association hunters left to form a full raiding party anymore.
They did talk about that a little bit in the episode about how they were like they were talking about the lack of people locally. Because I think I mentioned that in this episode. It's like, wow, it's everybody's here. Like, and then they explained it a little bit in the episode. So I do have the one question though, because the girl, Juhi, I don't know, all the names are Juhi, Jinwoo, that the names are all very similar and I still can't quite get them all straight. But the girl, she wasn't losing her license even though she was refusing raids in the show. So it's like, and they were like they were like, it's okay, take all the time you need, you don't have to. So it's like, as long as you pick up the phone, it's fine?
Especially not one that could handle a D-rank dungeon. Luckily, a B-rank hunter surveillance member would be there to join them too, but something about that group as a whole just seemed off to Sung. There was a strange
The vibes
feeling
were
and
wrong.
he sensed coming from the direction of Kang and the prisoners. Sung wasn't sure who it was or where exactly it was coming from, but the impeding aura was definitely enough to make him suggest Juhi avoid this raid. He knew immediately something was off about all this.
I like that he protects
There was
her.
a moment
He's trying
when
to
Mr. Kim
anyway.
had tried to talk to Sung, but as soon as he caught wind of Sung's frigid glare, any attempt to do so was immediately averted.
Fair.
The look he received had covered him with goosebumps and filled him with chills. It wasn't Kim's fault for wanting to avoid Sung after this, because the feeling he got was completely intentional. You see, Sung had applied a light bit of killing intent into his gaze, and that alone was enough for Kim to realize Sung didn't want to be talked to.
Not by
And it
him
left
anyway.
Filled with regret and a face looking like this.
Oh, is that what made him feel regret? Like, that's it?
Here in the manhwa, the circumstance of Sung meeting Juhi is different too, because unlike the anime, this was the first time Juhi had seen him since the incident. She'd been looking for him ever since it happened, but as I said before, she had no means of actually getting to him. This made their reunion a whole lot more emotional, and it highlights the regret both her and Song feel for abandoning him. Now, I'm gonna rewind here and go back to this scene with Mr. Song, because it's in the manhwa the person he's training with is actually an S-rank hunter.
Oh.
We don't ever get to see their face, but I think it's important to know since it really emphasizes the fact Mr. Song is an extremely skilled swordsman.
Yeah, dang.
Like, if one of the strongest hunters is willing to be trained by him, then that alone should be enough to dictate how adept he is.
Also, kudos to that S-rank hunter though, because like, it feels like a lot of the S-rank hunters are very egotistical, you know, and they're like, I'm an S rank, so I don't have to give a shit about anybody else but myself. I'm the best. But this one is willing to humble himself to be trained by a C rank hunter. I feel like that's pretty sad. Like, I like whoever it is, good for them.
Unfortunately, none of that's useful in a dungeon, since without that enhanced strength to physically fight magical beasts, him swinging a sword would do literally nothing to them. It was a phenomenon that left him wondering why. Why would he, a master swordsman, be awakened as a mage-type hunter? He'd contemplated the question time and time again, but despite no answer ever being found, he always believed that there was one. Perhaps there was a reason why he awakened like this. Perhaps it was fate, just like how reuniting with all the survivors was fate. This was pretty much what we saw him contemplating in the anime, but I think it's important to emphasize he's so skilled that even S-ranks want to train with him. Now, that's all the cut content from the manhwa and novel, but I think I'll take a moment to briefly talk about the extra scenes. This one with Cha Hae-in was mostly fan service, but it does highlight the steps Jinho's father is already taking to begin the formation of his own guild. The scene in the car was purely exposition, but it does also summarize the purpose of guilds and how important they are.
And I made a joke about, okay, so like if you're only watching these and you haven't seen the solo leveling reactions that I did, which seems highly likely because these videos get a lot more views than the solo leveling reactions do. Come on, go watch those. They're fun, I promise. But the first time I met Juhi, a blonde kid, I could not, again, this is why I do this, because I couldn't remember his name. And he was very chatty about everything that was going on. And so I just called him Exposition Kid. And so when his dad shows up and like just the exact same thing, telling his son all of the things that his son already knows for the benefit of the audience. But I was like, oh, okay, great. Exposition Kid comes with an exposition dad. Makes perfect sense. He comes by this naturally. And I just say, so like, if you're only watching these and you're questioning why I'm using Exposition Kid, or sometimes I'll even say like EK, that's why.
Once again, if you want to know more, you can always watch this video where I go in depth on it. Mr. Kim's scene highlighted why it is he still goes on raids, and Juhi's further displayed the type of trauma she's dealing with.
And her mother being horrible. She definitely doesn't
like going on raids, but with an ability to heal placing her up there at the B rank, she feels a moral responsibility to continue doing so. Combine this with the fact Sung continues to train despite being an E rank, and it's that image which has her pushing forward too.
I kind of love that. It's like, it kind of gives Asta in Black Clover. Which we will be returning to, by the way, if anyone cares. We'll be returning to some Black Clovers after we finish watching Kaiju number 8. But, like, Asta's perseverance gives everybody else, like, the boost that they need to keep going themselves. It's just really inspirational. And it's nice to see that that Sung here is very similar. Like, his perseverance, and tenacity has inspired other people.
With Beck and Choi is actually quite interesting, because while on the surface it is just a little argument, Choi's comments on the interview gives us an idea of who they really are. As the one who doesn't identify as a talented hunter of great character dedicated to the job, you can see Choi as the sly guildmaster focused more on the business and growth aspect, whereas Beck is more the guildmaster using his position for noble purposes. The rest builds on Jeju and the failed raid from years ago, which in my opinion has actually been teased rather nicely so far. So all in all, these scenes were completely valid. They may not come straight from the manhwa or focus on Sung getting stronger, but they do build on the overall story in general. And for me, any addition of world building is always a welcome one.
Me too. I love world building.
That may not be what you think, so once again, let me know down in the comments. Be sure to leave your rating and what you thought, and if you liked the video, then maybe even a like as well. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do.
Yes, I do.
So, until next time, ciao.
Ciao. So yeah, okay, that was interesting. That was quite interesting. And again, I do remember this episode, like the first couple of episodes I didn't remember quite as well, not gonna lie, but we've gotten to the point where I remember a lot of the episodes, and that's at least in part because I did the edits of these episodes a little bit more recently. So I have the solo. That's why I've done the edit more recently. So again, we do have Solo Leveling. All of season 1 is up, edited up here on YouTube. All of season 2 is available on Patreon for $5 a month. You could watch all of season 2, plus a lot of other stuff is over there. Some things that will never see the light of day here on YouTube, such as Eminence in Shadow. I have all of it. Well, as of next week, I think all of it'll be up. I finished the show, but it's the last episode. 2 episodes aren't going up until a little bit later. Like I've got movies up there. We've got The Substance. We've got Beetlejuice. We've got 1408, little things like that. We have Spice and Wolf is over there. Me and Jessica watched Spice and Wolf, and Alec and I are watching Secret of the Silent Witch and Sakamoto Days. There's a lot of stuff happening over on the Patreon. A lot of it is probably never. I don't know when it'll show up over here. I started doing Wisteria and like Wand and Sword. And Alec and I watched that well over a year ago at this point, and now I've only put up a couple episodes now. So, you know, lots of stuff over there. If you want to help out the channel, the other thing you can do, you can like, subscribe, comment. All of those things help the channel too. There's options to buy me a coffee, and no channel memberships on this one. Not on this channel, but other channels. Anyway, that's a lot of chat from me, and I'm gonna go away now. Peace.